All right, D, I'm ready.
D, big D.
All right, D.
Are we live?
It says live.
All right, good. I don't
It's
see anybody.
happening.
Sweet. Everybody's in. Let me know if everybody's in, if they can hear me. Good to go. All right.
Let us know in the chat if you think we should continue to call Dawson
Yes, we're
Big
live.
D.
All right, guys. Welcome to All Things Chelonian. My name is Dawson Lawler. I'm the host. We got two very special guests tonight. Don't need any introduction. We got Anthony PIERLONI and Charlie MOORCROFT. We're going to start off by asking them a few questions.
Ooh,
Yes.
jumping right in.
To tell you guys a little bit about my intentions with this podcast and give you an idea what we'd like to do moving forward. My intentions with this podcast are to connect younger folks with more experienced folks in the turtle and tortoise community, to get people out there and help them socialize and connect in different aspects of the whole lifestyle / hobby, whatever you want to call it. So I appreciate everybody joining in. I see Michael joined, Mark Da Silva, Capidolo Farms, Sam. Hey guys, thanks for joining. Really means a lot. Greg's Turtle Haven, that's awesome. We got Python from Arizona Tortoise Compound. Wow, we got a lot of people joining. I appreciate everything. Okay.
It's awesome.
So without the viewers, this wouldn't be possible. So I want to say thank you guys. It means a lot. And tell me about yourself, Anthony, a little short introduction, and then we'll let Charlie talk.
I am one of the world's largest turtle nerds physically. And did you like that? Was that good?
Yes.
I've been obsessed since I was 5 years old, never stopped. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. I think probably most people who are tuning in probably know my story, and they say men who probably need therapy just start podcasts. So I'm definitely guilty of that. And I enjoy the conversations, the camaraderie. I've learned a lot from my years of podcasting. So I'm really excited and honored to be here, Dawson, for your start in this arena. And I think, there was so much excitement coming out of TTPG this year because of the new generation of folks that just all happened to decide to come in the same year. Probably had a little bit of something to do with fate, probably had something to do with, the Facebook page for the TTPG, the discussion page really blowing up this year, which was wonderful. But it always feels great, and I always leave energized. But there was something different, something really special this year, and you were a big part of that. So to see you, building this now is wonderful, and I look forward to seeing what you do with this. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate that very much. And Charlie, let's hear a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, many of you probably know a little bit about me. I call myself a horse trainer, but I'm really a riding instructor and teach kids to show in a pretty horse heavy town. But what balances me out is working with turtles and tortoises and networking with people and being part of different groups. And it's cool to be here. Kind of nice to be in your first voyage of your podcast. And Anthony and I are really good friends, and Dawson, you and I become good friends. So I thought it would be interesting to, participate and answer questions and get to know more people and kind of give people access to the three of us also.
Perfect. I think that is great as well. I think everybody should have access to all the knowledge and wealth that you guys have between the two of you, and all the experience and lessons you guys have learned with each other, and down times and times that were good. So I think that's great that we can have you guys show up on the show, and I appreciate you guys coming out. It was a great opportunity for us to get this podcast started with a bang. So I got some questions for you guys to start off with. How did you two meet? I'll let whoever wants to take the ropes on this
I'll
one,
go.
how you guys got connected. So.
I was going to say that's Charlie.
Yes.
I'll go. So I'm from Connecticut. I'm just going to lead with that and say that I'm pretty intense at times, and I have no patience. And if I want something, I get it no matter what. Proudly, of course. So Anthony was on the Turtle Forum, and the tortoise form, actually.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I decided that after kind of stalking him, studying him, and basically, being obsessed with him, that I was going to be his friend. So I sent him enough messages and finally I can remember I finally got him to agree to give me his cell phone number, which was a big thing back then. This is like before Facebook groups and back when it was really, it was really antiquated. So I finally took a break from work and went to a quiet area and finally got him on the phone and realized in 10 seconds that this person I put up on a huge pedestal was actually just an amazing human and has become a really good friend ever since. So
Awesome.
Back then, I have another funny story. I talk a lot.
Your audio's messed up again. Can we fix that?
Yeah, try it, Charlie. Try to mute and unmute again. It did that thing again. It was happening before we went live, just for everyone who's tuning in.
And they told me to talk less. So, okay.
It didn't help that time. It didn't help that time.
Better?
Nope.
Woo! Guess we're gonna have to
you're gonna get lucky. You're not gonna hear me.
Now it feels like a turtle podcast.
It wouldn't be a turtle podcast if everything went right?
I concur.
I did the turtle podcast one time, and
we had technical issues.
Anthony was late. Minto bailed, so Steve Enders and I kind of spent a lot of time.
That's why you guys are so close now.
Panicked.
Sam said,
"That's what I was."
Headphone jack.
It does sound like that, Sam. It does sound like it's like not plugged in all the way.
All right, hang on.
Come on.
You got this, Charlie.
I don't think it was that though.
That's what he did last time. All right, you guys carry on. I don't want to ruin it.
You're not ruining it. You're saying good things. It's okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Still time.
I'll jump in. You were going to tell another funny story, which I do want to hear, but I'll just say that I remember that, and I remember you were just Charlie M on the Tortoise Forum, and there's a scene in Casino, the 1995 Martin Scorsese classic starring Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. And there's a scene where Nicky the Muscle, played by Joe Pesci, puts a gentleman's head in a vice, and he puts his head in a vice and cranks it until his eyeball pops out, and he says, "You made me pop your expletive eye out of your head for Charlie M." And every time I would see your name, I would think of that scene in the movie, which is weird because it's not a pleasant scene to have to continue to go back to. So now you're just Charlie. You are a very important part of my life. But at that time you were Charlie M, and I would think about little Joe Pesci or Nicky Santoro, as it were, the muscle in Casino.
All right, guys. So that's a good one.
It's not.
What would you guys say your most common? What species are you most known for working with? Both of you.
Go ahead, Charlie.
I would say I'm most known for cherry heads because they're my favorite, and they're not for everyone, but I like them. I like them because they work for me, and I studied the turtle, and the tortoise form for weeks and months, and maybe even a year before getting animals, because I wanted to understand the best species for my area, climate, humidity, all the requirements. And it came down to radiateds and redfoots. And I like the cherry heads. They were smaller, more interesting looking. So I'd say I was probably most known for that. Although I've partnered with a lot of different animals, different species. I have some Spangleri or Spanglari or black-breasted leaf turtles if we're going to go with American. I might be a little bit known for that, but I'd say cherry heads mostly, proudly.
Awesome. It's not a very that's a very common species with most people, but you wouldn't say it'd be their top favorites. There's not many people out there that would be like, hey, cherry heads are my top favorite species. But like you said, they're not for everyone. But I think it's cool that this is the tortoise I work with most. This is one I'm proud of. This is it. So that's really cool. And yourself, Anthony?
Yeah, I think, and just starting off with a transition just from Charlie's, I think it's all about finding what works for you. And it's not just you in terms of what you like, or to use Charlie's term, what blows your skirt up, but finding
I haven't said that in a while.
I've
moved on.
I bet you have said it and you just don't even realize anymore, because I've heard you say it, I think, recently. But cherry heads make sense in South Florida. They make all the sense in South Florida. And I think, like, for me, probably what I'm, I guess, most known for, probably because the book is the Vietnamese black-breasted leaf turtle, the Geomyda spangleri. And that's just because they make sense here. Here we go. Hey, signed copy.
Signed copy. With
Love
a
it.
special note. Boom.
Love it.
Don't
Love
forget
it. Got to. I always write people like a full page note, especially the people I like. So that species just makes sense here for like basement keeping because, you know, cooler and drier in the winter, but not super cold where things are freezing, and warm and humid in the summer. So they get that nice seasonality. They very much get into like a cycle with their laying. You know, they'll lay 2 to 3 clutches a year, and they kind of go back to back once like every month throughout the summer months. So it just makes sense, you know, for me. And that's why it's a species that I'll always have. Regardless, I keep a lot more than Charlie does. I have to admit that. It's not necessarily a source of pride either. It's a lot of work to keep a lot of animals, and that's the big difference between Charlie and I, is that I'm a little bit more of a glutton for punishment. And well, we're both gluttons for punishment, but in a different way. Charlie's more like punishes himself for wanting to have more, and I punish myself by having more. So he's always, I mean, we're both trying to, you know, be smart, but he's just
I print a lot of labels and I ship a lot of animals.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's true.
That's a good thing to bring up too, is for like younger people that are watching this show. It's not about how many animals you have. It's about what you can take on and you can efficiently take care of and give the best life. So don't think just because you have 100 of this species or 50 of this species, it doesn't matter. You got 50 of them, but are they all being taken care of properly?
It's easy to get caught up in that and listen to your friends or listen to your frenemies or mentors or people that are, you know, trying to, I don't know, take you under their wing.
Yes.
And it's really important to just be true to yourself and know what works for you. And in my case, less is more. I really want to take really good care of the animals and know each one. And it's awfully tempting to find yourself collecting different, you know, shapes, sizes, colors, breeds, species.
100%.
But really, at the end of the day, that, you know, I wish I was a little bit more of a minimalist in a lot of ways in my life. So yes, I struggle with numbers all the time.
All right.
Yeah, internally, like you don't have an issue. You just constantly are asking yourself, do I have an issue? Where nobody else feels that way. You're your harshest critic.
I'd like to jump in. Obviously, we have a very small, really interesting foundation, which raises money for organizations that we really like and support, in addition to trying to do some educational opportunities. With that said, there was a point where we tried to have guests, visitors, interested people, whatever you call them, over here to look at this collection. And at that point, I went through this mindset of needing to have something for everyone, make sure it was interesting, make sure when people came, there was enough for them to see. And you realize that, you know, turtles are turtles and they're not for everyone. And it was just easy to downsize and chop it back. And it didn't have to be this amazing, impressive thing. What I was passionate about, people paid more attention to than the volume and the different shapes and sizes. Like, I'll tell you, I had some spider tortoises here and they really weren't my thing. And I had some amazing Florida box turtles that I was growing up. So I'd look at the Florida box turtles and explain a little bit about them, how we care for them, how much water they're raised in as youngsters, and then they go more onto land. And then we got to the spider tortoises, and the kids said, oh, aren't those more Florida box turtles? And meanwhile, half the year they're buried in mulch and grew like snails and just didn't do it for me. So they politely left. So I never worry about that. You know, once it's to the point where I can print a label and send it to someone, give it away, sell it, whatever, just find a better spot. I never have any regrets.
Sweet. I totally agree on that. Less is more, and it's what you can take on. You're the only person that can decide how much you can take on as a person. All right, I got another question for you guys. This one's a little off topic. It's going to be, what would you guys say your proudest moments are in the Chelonian, what you've done so far in the community? So we'll start off with Anthony.
That's really tough because
it's a tough one.
It's cumulative, you know, it's cumulative. Charlie, I'm going to give you ready? Because your audio got weird again. So do your thing again. I'm going to give you like the I Volunteers tribute. Is that how they do it? Katniss Aberdeen. Yes. Yes.
Did it work?
No.
What are you talking about?
When I do this, that's your cue. I'm just going to three fingers. No, 3 fingers means like, hey, we're going to have to wrap up this thought and try the headphone thing again.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's still, I don't know. To answer your question,
I apologize,
Dawson, I think it's cumulative. Like you build on it, right? So I can remember when I think about the moments that really felt like they meant the most to me. I can single out a few. One was hatching my first turtles, which were spotted turtles. That was a huge moment for me. And when I think back, I haven't had I've had amazing hatches, but nothing really felt like that. That was like, oh my gosh, I could die happy now. Like it's over. This is great. And I felt that way with spider tortoises and some other, and Japonica and Spangler Eye the first time and stuff like that. But spotted turtles that first time really stand out to me all those years ago. And then I think from writing the first time that I had an article in the Batager, and actually that first year is 2014, I wrote a Spangler Eye article, and then Russ also asked me to write an article about just like the future of keeping. And those moments I think stand out as much as anything. And obviously publishing, my first book and stuff like that. But I don't know, I think those moments just really stood out because I felt like all I ever wanted was for people to give me the time of day. Like I was somebody, and I saw myself in so many of you younger guys at the TTPG this year, where it's like, you just wanted to network and you wanted to meet people, and you would meet people and say, oh my gosh, Andrew Hermes, I love what you do. The same way I felt when I met Russ Gurley years ago. Like, so that to me is what it's all about. And I could remember those early wins meant everything. And maybe that's why I keep coming back and why I've kind of dedicated my life. But I say all the time, come for the turtles and stay for the people, because that's what really matters. And I think what really sticks with you is those shared victories too. And just collaborating with people. But
100%. I agree.
I don't know. I trailed off into something different, but hopefully my answer was okay.
Yes, totally. Charlie, let's hear it.
I would say networking with people and
I'm sorry.
Is it bad again?
It's not bad. It's just bad. You know what I
Not good
mean?
enough for you,
We can muscle through it. I mean, I'm good.
aren't we?
We can ask the
Let's
people
keep
what
going.
they want.
What do you want, people?
So I
People
guess,
tell us.
what was the question? Proudest moment? I mean, I fell asleep with Anthony.
Okay. What?
Bring me up to speed.
What's the proudest moment you've achieved so far in the Chelonian community?
In the community, I think just gaining friendship, respect from people. Maybe one of my proudest moments was having my friend Fred Grunwald come over here and tour this place and be really excited about it. That was pretty cool. I've met a lot of amazing people on YouTube. Greg Brashear, who's become a really good friend. A couple other guys. Having them come here and just be excited about what I've done is pretty cool. So I can't obviously reach the audience that those guys can, but really taking care of my animals, knowing them, doing what's right, knowing when I have too much or when I need to do something different. Those are all really important moments to me.
Yeah, I agree. That's something I agree with, as well as just taking in the moment when you're there instead of just trying to reach. I'm big on trying to reach new levels, but you need to enjoy the moment while you're getting there. So, when you guys first got in turtles and tortoises, Anthony said, "Oh, I hatched my spotted turtles." That's not huge on everybody's list, but for him, that was huge. That's something that he is seriously proud of. So, I think that's something to keep in mind as a young keeper, is to enjoy the moment, enjoy while you're getting there, and when you achieve what you want to achieve, continue to enjoy it and set new goals, and don't forget where you came from. So I wanted to give Anthony some time to talk about his book. I want to promote his
He's
book.
a writer.
He's a writer, yeah. As
Wow.
lo
Wannabe.
and behold. So, floor is
Wannabe
yours.
writer. Yeah, I'll just, I had another thought while you were wrapping that up, Dawson, too, that kind of leads into this. Is just like, we're all just chasing dopamine, man. We're all just like looking for that oxytocin, that dopamine, whatever we could find that's going to make us feel warm and fuzzy inside. And, that's, I guess, what I was saying with the spotted turtles, like that is tough to emulate. And I'll say, as exciting as it is to write this book, I have goals. I was saying, and Shannon and I recorded a podcast of our own yesterday, and we were talking about the, why does it matter? She's like, I don't know, I'm nervous about this new book, and I'm like, I'm excited, and she's like, well, what does it matter? And I said, well, like I've had fun, with the last book and having it on Amazon and being able to see the dashboard. Because with my first book that was published through Russ and Living Art Publishing, which was an amazing experience, and Russ is incredible, and the quality of his books, particularly books about turtles, are just amazing with the color photos and everything, and the glossy pages. Like, you could tell a Russ book when you first see it, and I love his books. So anyway, just with kind of having my own, I've enjoyed just the opportunity to kind of watch the analytics. If a book sells, I see, and I could check it when I first published the veterinary book, my last book, I could see, like, I was checking like every hour to see if a book sold. And now I check once a week or something just to see. And sometimes there's big surprises. There was a day last month where the veterinary book sold 50 copies in a day. Like, are you kidding me? Who the heck was silly enough to do that? Somebody who needed like Christmas gifts for their team or something. I don't know, but it was pretty darn awesome. So anyway, with this new book, I'm really excited to be able to have the first book in like that type of process for my community, which is this community that I care so much about and that I identify with more than anything. And I just think, a lot of the and just to get to the idea, the idea of the book and what it's about, it's about something that we all deal with in our own unique way, which is those relationships around us, not just romantic relationships, like, your spouse, but anyone who's in your life that doesn't quite understand the level at which we are obsessed about these things that we are obsessed with. And there's an interesting dynamic there that fascinates me. And if not for Turtle Podcasts, I probably would not have been able to put my finger on it as much or think about it as much as I do, because we all think about it and we'll talk about it. So like, think if you were driving with a friend to a reptile show, you would undoubtedly talk about the situation at home at some point, and, oh, my wife is supportive, oh, my husband isn't, or, whatever. And just kind of the ins and outs of those things. So again, that just fascinates me. And that's the premise for the book. It's an interesting approach to writing, because we kind of did it as like a dual narrative memoir where like I write a paragraph, she writes a paragraph, I write 2 paragraphs, she writes a paragraph, and it kind of goes back and forth like that, where just like if you were like at dinner with a couple and they were telling you a story, and then I start telling you, and then the other person chimes in, it's like, no, that's not how it happened, and tells, speaks for a minute, and then the other person starts telling the story again, and that kind of back and forth. So together we tell a story, and a lot of times it flows, and sometimes it doesn't, because maybe we don't tell the story the same way. And I don't know how it's going to land or if people are going to like it, but I find it really interesting. And I think with anything that you create, if you are interested, then that's going to shine through in the people that are tuning in. And if you're faking it and just trying to make something because you think it's going to be good, that may not work as well as if, your passion shines through. So sorry to go off on another tangent, but
no, that's what we wanted. We wanted to hear about your book, and the people want to know. It seems like a lot of people are excited to get themselves some copies of that book. And I know some people probably already pre-ordered the Kindle version. So if you guys are looking to get a copy of Anthony's book, you just head over to his Facebook. The name is right there. Just type it in. And when does the hard copy release on Amazon again?
Yeah, everything comes out. So like you could pre-order the Kindle right now, but hard copies will be available, and you'll get your Kindle version if you pre-order on Valentine's Day. And that was kind of something I wanted to do with her. If we could do it, I wanted to try to make it go live on Valentine's Day. So
okay, sounds good. It looks like we lost Mr. Charlie, so we're gonna.
Bye, Charlie. Don't leave.
We're gonna roll with the punches. All right, on to the next question. Let's. He's gonna reboot in.
Cool.
Let's go on. I want to answer some questions from the comments while he's out. Mark De Silva has a good question, and then I know there was one at the top. So we'll start with the one at the top. What species do you keep that you're most excited for? So I'll start. I'll let you go first, Anthony, and then I'll tell you about mine.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I might say Maremi's japonica, the Japanese pond turtle, which is a species that is commonly kept, but very rarely are females ever produced. And I don't know, I wrote an article that's going to be on the cover of Reptiles magazine, and contrary to popular belief, it does still exist, and some people still do read it. And I think it's cool that that species is going to be on the cover of anything, because I don't think it's been highlighted very much before. So that's pretty cool. And it's a species that I really like, and I have more of now, and I'm hoping to have good years with them in the future. I hatched them for the first time last year.
That's awesome. They're
a great species. I'd recommend them to everyone. Perfect beginner animal, and just a joy to keep and to observe.
Perfect. All right. For me, I'd have to say it's my radiateds and my aldabras. I'm a huge radiated now. I love the giantness of the aldabra and the personality of them. They're just a great all-around species to keep. And I live in Texas, and everything's bigger in Texas, so why not have a ranch full of aldabras someday, right?
That's awesome. Dawson froze this time. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and you sound good, and now Dawson's frozen. Now, does this keep going if Dawson's frozen? That's the question. I love that he mentioned that he wants a ranch of large tortoises in Texas. That was my dream when I was like in college, but it wasn't aldabras and it wasn't Texas. I was going to move to Florida. This was in my mind what I was going to do, and I was going to have a sulcata farm. I was so excited. I was dedicated to that.
Back then you could do it. Now,
would you want to do it if you could do it? I don't know.
No,
I mean,
no.
Not even from the land situation, but just, I didn't get it though.
He says he's coming back on.
I love it. Is this just us? I just realized that the avatar name for the person who asked that question is Give War a Chance. Charlie, what species are you most excited for right now? Charlie's not going to give a good answer. He's going to say I'm most excited for less species. What species are you most excited about right now?
I have a group of really young radiated tortoises that I'm pretty excited about right now.
That's the same answer that Dawson gave.
Oh, I couldn't.
Well, he said aldabras and radiateds.
No, radiators, I think they're interesting. I'd always kind of stayed away from them, but got talked into them from some friends, and so far, and enjoying it. I think I'll hang on to them. They would make sense down here.
Yeah.
Obviously, you and I both keep Egyptian tortoises. I'm pretty excited about those.
Yeah.
I like small animals, so.
Yeah, we've been having great conversations too, just about them and everything. And as some of us keepers have had to figure out what the plan is after the ESA listing. So I think, as a silver lining, obviously none of us on this side of things wanted that. We don't have to get into the whole ESA thing right now, but I think that's a nice outcome for a pretty unsavory situation.
It's interesting to see who will continue to work with them now that their value has changed and now that restrictions are certainly greater. So I guess it's a case of if you really like them and they work for you and you want to work with them, you work with them, and you are actually helping preserve captive animals. A lot of people got out of them and sold them pretty quick for a lot of money right before the laws went into effect, but you and I talked about that, and we, with Ralph, decided to just hang out with them and, keep going. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Michael Thathuvaswamy, our friend, just texted me with the question that Dawson wanted to ask from Mark De Silva. Are you game?
Yep.
All right, you ready? I'm going to read it word for word, which is dangerous with my friend Mark because, So he said, what species would you never keep again, and why? No cop-outs with them being restricted, but because you didn't enjoy them. I asked the Mark question, Dawson. Hi.
Okay, hello guys. Sorry about that. Yes, Mark's question.
Is that cool? Do you have
Yeah,
an answer? Do you have an answer for that one?
What species I wouldn't keep?
Yeah. What species you wouldn't keep that you kept already?
Oh, I've never gotten rid of any tortoises I've ever gotten, but if I had to, let me leave this crap. Sorry.
And you can't answer that question truthfully.
I can't. So honestly, though, I have been debating whether I need to downsize some of my collection, and I do have a really good friend over in El Paso. I've thought about placing some starter animals off with him to try to get him started in some reptiles. He really likes tortoises, so I think it'd be a good push. It's just I love them all. I love them all. Even the sulcata. You guys can hate on the sulcatas all you want, but I love my sulcata. I love them. So I don't have an answer. Couldn't be me.
I don't think we hate on the species. I think we hate on how they're kind of exploited.
Yep, terribly.
And I'll just say, they're probably not the best choice for a pet.
It's all experience, though, like which is perception. So, I've had really bad experiences with a couple of species that one of them, I wanted more than anything in the world. I wanted to keep this species more than I wanted to be an author. I wanted them so bad, and it didn't go well. And so I don't know. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't keep them again or under different circumstances or anything like that. So I think if I had to answer your question truthfully, Mark, with one, I kept Pelusios. What the heck species is that now? Chapini. Pelusios, well, I guess it would be Capini because everything in Latin is CH is supposed to be pronounced with the K sound. So Pelusios chapini or Capini, they were horrible. They tried to eat each other constantly. Anytime I put them together for breeding, they tried to kill each other, and they smelled, and they were big and clunky, and they needed heat year round. Like, I can't think of an endearing quality about them besides the fact that they're turtles and they're amazing animals in their own right, but they didn't need to be amazing in my care. 100%. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yep. I understand. What about you, Charlie?
You're going to have to when the question was asked, you guys went mute and I couldn't hear it. So
okay.
You couldn't hear me? Oh.
I know.
I'm embarrassed.
There's the question. What species would you never keep again?
Ooh, read
Why?
it.
No cop.
Pancakes.
That was quick.
No offense.
Oh, yeah.
Pancakes are a hell no for me.
This is easy for Charlie.
That's a no.
I love the pancakes.
Do I like them? Do I like looking at them? Do I like the idea of them? Yeah. Did I like having them? No. Did I like finding them in the wrong enclosures? Because I made these amazing, cool, rocky outcrops like they liked it, but they left. And they were in with other animals, and they were under shelves, and they only ate romaine. They didn't eat anything else. They would starve. Occasionally cactus. And I like Missouri enough to know that I can mix it with things, mix calcium with it, mix vitamins. I use it. It's like bread. Whatever you put on bread tastes better. So they wouldn't touch that. So I always was wondering, they couldn't live on romaine. The males were, I'm editing, not nice to each other. So I think, Anthony, you have all mine, don't you?
I got a lot of pancakes, man. I don't have all of yours, but I have your young ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love pancakes. They're a great species, even though Charlie does not like them for certain reasons.
I get it.
But here's the thing: you do you. It doesn't really matter. I have stuff that other people wouldn't want, or other, people say, "Oh, well, you've got more space. You could make something more valuable." It's really about, again, what works for you. And pancakes did not work for me, although I liked them. I thought they were interesting.
You know what's interesting? Charlie and I share a guilty pleasure species. Can I mention it? Or a guilty pleasure morph anyway? Can I mention that, Charlie?
Which one?
Well, you're talking about things. You have things that other people may not. And it's not because it's not about value all the time. I'll tell you, Charlie and I both have caramel pink red-eared sliders. And they are. You can talk about that. They are.
People hate that.
You have some too, Dawson?
Yeah. I got some from the TTPG.
They are so gorgeous. I've always felt that way, and it's never waned for me. I kept them years ago, and then I traded some for something that I really, really, really wanted, and I didn't regret it from that perspective. But I would see pictures of them for sale. They were a lot of money for a long time. They were like $2,500 for a hatchling, and I always loved them. And the price just came down and down and down and down. And now, they come through rescues and things like that. And I've gotten a few from some folks who had them, who rescued them, which is amazing. But I love them so much. I actually bought a couple maybe for really, really cheap. For really, really cheap. No, it was really cheap.
And you're going to jail. Lock him up. Everybody in the comments.
I just love them. When I see them in the pond and they peek up through
they make you smile.
Through the hyacinth.
6 of them. And they make you smile. They're out, they're basking. Their eyesight is better than an albino.
They're just as hardy as a normal, but they look incredible.
Yeah, I went through an albino snapping turtle phase, which I think I've outgrown.
I want an albino snapper. Those are cool.
They are really, really cool, and they're fun.
Yes, I would like one.
I've had a blast with them. I have some, but they don't live here anymore. But I had the pleasure of doing this really cool pond with my friend Greg, with Dan, and with another really good friend, Tanner Serpa. And they came down and made this amazing albino snapping turtle pond here, and we had a blast. It was a really rush job. It took only a couple of days, and we worked really, really hard and long hours, but we had a blast. Became really good friends through the process. Anyway, within no time, the albino snapping turtles told me that pond was not for them. And I dug additional areas, and that was okay. And then breeding albinos with the eyesight and the sex drive, you just imagine there was blood everywhere. It was a mess. So anyway, those no longer live here. But what was put in their place were these caramel pink red-eared sliders, based on Anthony's recommendation. And really, they're just fun, easy, no stress. They just hang out.
Yeah, they're just a super cool, unique, personable turtle. So you can't go wrong with them. I bet they love that pond too. They just live it up in there. I want to open the floor for you guys to ask each other ask questions for everybody in the group. Like for me, for Anthony, for Charlie, whoever would like to go first. Open the floor for you guys to ask questions. So start off with Anthony.
You want me to ask questions to you guys?
Yeah, you got questions for Charlie and I. Let's see what you got. We'll hand the hostess off to you.
Oh man, that's tough.
Okay, get going here.
I feel like I've never done this before. This is when I always crap on Shannon. Like, this is bad radio. You need to be able to think on your feet. If there was a dream podcast guest who is maybe ungettable, but you would want to have, or is maybe not even alive, who you would want to have as a guest on your show, who would that be?
Me as a person, me?
You're answering that you're the guest. You're the
no.
guest. I'm just kidding.
No, I would totally pick Steve Irwin. That would be my top number one, Steve Irwin. If I could get that man on a podcast, he probably didn't. Too busy catching crocodiles, but if I could, that would be a dream.
He would be so supportive, though. And that's the thing too. I want to say, about everyone out there who can get a little fiery, or dare I say rabid, pun intended, about animal related issues. Think, WWSID. What would Steve Irwin do? Because as much as he wasn't perfect himself, I idolized him, obviously, especially in my younger years. And I watch his show still, like at least weekly, but usually more often. He was very tolerant of others. And, I can watch that show and I say, you know what? This guy in South Africa who just picked him up at the airport is not his mate. Like, they don't really know each other that well, but he'll refer to him as his mate and grab him on the shoulder and around the neck and show love to him. Like, that's the type of community that we need to have. And I think he showed us that a lot, and he collaborated with a lot of people before it was like the cool thing to do. And sure, I mean, you could say it's like umbrella science or whatever, because he's going into other people's situations to go and film and act like he's the expert, but he wasn't doing it like Forrest Galante, where he was taking credit for what someone else is doing. He was going in there and talking about how great the person was that he was talking to. What are you laughing at, Charlie?
Just the bus driving ability you have. Anyway.
I'm sorry. Was that okay? I just go off on different
Yeah,
thoughts.
no, it's
in
great.
different areas.
I think it's great.
I got better at it
I
over
would
the
say
years.
The best thing is Steve has a son, and I think he's doing as good a job as he can with what he has. And I think that would be an amazing host, a great conversation. I don't know how well he knew his father. I can't remember how old the kid was when his father passed, but I think there's a lot of Steve in that human, and I think he'd be a really, really cool person to have on any, whatever access you could get would be amazing, I think.
100%. That'd be crazy. It's possible. Anything's possible in this world. So that's a good idea. Now that you have brought that up, I totally remember they just hatched out that Darwin turtle over at the zoo in Australia. So, all right, your turn, Charlie. You got questions? I'm
going to ask Anthony about his road trip, which I of course declined to go on. Love you, Anthony, but I don't want to be in a car with you for that long. Maybe you could talk about what the hell are you thinking?
I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. When I first started, when I first wrote for the Badager, that feeling was so, and I'll use it as a plug because I always have to throw things out there for people. If you're wondering how to get involved or take your stuff to the next level, write an article for the Badager. Just write it about what you know, interview somebody, whatever you can do to try to create something, because we always need articles, and it's such an amazing publication, and the amount of work that goes into it, like Russ deserves to have good articles. You deserve to be published. Let's do this. So anyway.
I'm working on mine. So.
Oh, you dropped it already. Episode 1, and you already dropped it. I love it. And Dawson, just know that I am always here for you, and anyone else who's interested. This is what we need. This is what our community needs. Sharing of information. Anyway, so after I wrote that first article 10 years ago now, which seems that's a short time, but it seems like forever ago at the same time, which I find myself saying about everything now that I'm old. But it felt really good. And I said, you know what? The projects that I was taking on to keep, I started to want to make them be something I could write about, because I enjoyed the writing so much. So I got some Pelusios Nanis, and I wrote an article about them the next year. And I got some Moremis, and I wrote an article about them the year after that. So it was kind of like this, and then some Forstens tortoises the year after that. So it was like, if I could bring something in. Anyway, so the idea is to create experiences that I could write about. And that was kind of my thing. And I know that's not going to be everyone's thing, but if you're somebody who's thinking of writing, that worked for me. And it really meant a lot to me. And it kind of made me the person I am today. Writing turtle articles led to writing a book about veterinary leadership, which never would have happened if not for Russ Gurley and the Badager and other things. Right. So anyway, the idea of this road trip cross country is 8 days. It's like a cannonball run. So we're going from literally the East Coast, Jacksonville, Florida, that area, like northern Florida, on the water. And we're driving all the way to Los Angeles. And the idea is in 8 days to encounter as many turtles and reptiles and other animals as we can. We have, I love it when I watch Rick and Morty, and it's like the Assemble a Crew episode. Like you son of a bee, I'm in. We have a crew of people. I won't tell you who everyone is, but basically anyone who comes is a character in the book. And there's going to be crazy conversations on the road, and probably brushes with death, and I don't know, all sorts of crazy things that'll happen. And hopefully we find some animals. And I think even if we strike out a little bit, if we find some stuff, it's about the story and the experience. And anyway, the idea is that we're going to go and spend that 8 days, and then I'm going to write a book about it.
All right. How many people are going? How many people? You don't have to mention who. How many people are going?
Officially 4 for the cross country part.
Would you make room for others?
No.
Okay.
Not that one.
Very definite.
Not for that. Yeah.
can't hang out. That's what they're saying. No, I'm just kidding.
No, well, it's, four is probably too many. I think the sweet spot number would be 3, especially with how big I am. And then, by the way, somebody who's coming is taller than I am. So 4 people in a car that size, that's pretty rough.
They play for the Lakers or what?
Yeah, we played basketball together in college.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
2 giants in one car.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
2 clowns.
Yeah. But
All right,
I'm sorry.
Go
I was just going to say he's like starting his own religion. So it's going to be an absolutely crazy conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I know I would not be excited if I heard that, but it's going to be epic. So hopefully Anthony can do what he needs to do and get the book written is the key. Yeah, it's going to be an epic turtle journey.
Speaking of sprinters, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, I wanted to give the if you know, you know, give the opportunity for the chat to come up with some questions to ask these guys, and I want to give them the opportunity to get involved and talk with you guys. So send your questions in the chat, and we'll post them, pick through them, and we'll let them answer your questions. And again, if you're watching this live on Facebook and you're commenting, your comments show up as Facebook user. They don't show up who you are, so we don't know who's commenting. And if you're watching this through my Instagram live, I recommend you just coming over to the YouTube live. It's easier for you guys to get involved, and we can't see your comments through Instagram live. So let's see what we got for comments. We'll go.
Sweet.
Okay. Comment section is not going right now.
Come on, comments.
Seriously. I was relying on you guys. Come on, Sam. I know you always got questions. You always have questions. Okay. Did we already answer this question right here? Sam said, there it is. At the top. Right there. Michael asked a question. That's a good one. Charlie, this one's for you since you're busy.
Get it together,
What's the question?
When did you start keeping turtles and tortoises?
Officially down here in Florida, probably 12 or 14 years ago.
Oh, wow. 14 years ago. Okay, someone asked, Charlie, what is your favorite? They all want to talk to you, Charlie. What the heck?
I don't blame them.
I mean,
they've heard from me. Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of Anthony out there.
Exactly.
What's your favorite turtle? I'd say cherry heads.
Yeah, we
boring.
talked about that.
I know, very predictable, but I like what I like.
That's it.
Most people know that. If you
He's
know,
a
you
man.
know.
He's a man who knows what he wants and what he likes. I've always said that.
Road trip with you and Dawson Screen. Okay, someone said, how are those Geomidas Spangler? Like I said, your name doesn't pop up in the comments. Oh, here comes. They're flooding us. Yes.
So, yeah, my role in the genesis of the Turtle Room. That's an interesting one. We had a lot of conversations about what we ought to do, and this was actually a question I was going to ask you, Charlie, too, because that's something that I think that we have some experience in. Because people will often think that in order to kind of make their mark in the world, in the animal conservation world or what have you, that they need to create a nonprofit. And I certainly understand that desire because they want to make a difference, and that is a happy way to a positive way to do that. But it's a lot of work, and it's really more like finances than anything, and having to figure out, okay, what is it that we're specifically going to do, and start with a project. And that was what we didn't necessarily know with the Turtle Room to answer Will's question. Is we just kind of were out there for everything, and we thought that was our founding principle, that we wanted to kind of be the glue, because we saw a world where conservationists didn't want to work with people who were breeding animals and didn't see that as conservation. When I say conservationists, I mean like, in situ conservation, but it's all conservation. One could argue, especially when, captive breeding becomes the last ditch effort. I know that people may find that contradictory to conversations I've had in the past with folks, but I think preservation becomes conservation sometimes when it needs to be. the last hope. And anyway, my role was really those early conversations. And I remember Steve, who's the founder and president of the Turtle Room, said that anyone who was going to be a part of the Turtle Room, which was basically just a club at that point, had to pay $50 dues. And I didn't pay the dues. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm your friend and we're building this together or whatever. And we would talk before it even was a thing. Wow. And then it became a thing. And he was like, well, when are you going to join? And I was like, I'm not joining. And then he was like, hey, you don't have to pay the $50. I was like, okay, I'm in. So then I became a part of the Turtle Room early, but not right when it first started. It was like a couple months afterwards because I wouldn't pay the $50. I don't even know if Steve remembers that or if he would remember it that way, but that's what it was.
Got a bill for the $50.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm good. But I've always felt that way. At the time I was a social worker and I spent all day trying to make the world a better place. And like, if you walk up to me with a cardboard sign trying to get 25 cents from me, I'd be like, no, I'm sorry. Like I'm an underpaid social worker. I'm not giving you any of my money. I will help in other ways. I have time. I have creativity. I have skills. I'll try to help in other ways. So anyway, that helping in other ways is how I stayed involved and how Steve couldn't keep me out for long. And then, we just kind of tried to find our way along the way, and we're still finding our way because we struggle with, how we don't have a volunteer for social media right now who's active. So, people think that we're just people who keep turtles in basements, but in reality, we have in situ projects in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Vietnam, Africa, and that we support and that are under the Turtle Room umbrella. And we're not always getting the information out there well. So that's where we don't have it. It's all volunteer. So it's, it's a struggle.
One of the younger guys who attended TTPG, Wes, we're going to have to get him on the podcast sometime. He's a great guy. You met Wes at TTPG. He's a good dude. He asked, what do you think your next water turtle species you'd be interested in acquiring? Well, honestly, I'm probably pretty booked up on what I want to keep right now. I'm a big tortoise guy. Y'all know that. And next on my list is the closest thing you're going to get to a water species for me is the Spangler eye or the Japonica, the black-breasted leaf turtle. So that's about it for me. But I don't plan on keeping those anytime soon, just because I'm not in the market for them. But I'm working on other things like social media. So that's a great question. I'm not really big into working with water species. So it's just a personal preference, what works for me. And do you guys know anything about this Lizard King documentary? I want to bring some. You guys know anything about that?
A little bit, but not any more than like what Maurice said on the podcast. He shared a lot of information about that, which was really cool. He's been my kind of go-to for behind the scenes things on happenings with, but
I have no clue on that one. Okay. And we got a question from Michael. I wanted to ask you guys, and then we can move on to the next stuff. It's right here. What turtle or tortoise you have had for the longest and for how long? So you can go first, Charlie.
So I'd say I had this really cool older rescued cherryhead named Martha, and she was found walking down the side of the road down near Palm Beach. I've had her, I would say I've had that animal since 2016.
Okay. And Anthony?
Spider tortoises. I got the group of spider tortoises, I don't know, 14 years ago or something like that now. And they're never leaving. I'll leave before they leave.
Yes.
I'm gonna back up also. I think, Anthony, we have Flava marginata that I got quite a bit before that time.
Yeah.
That might live at your house.
What do you mean might live at my house? Of course they live in my house. You think I'm lying to you?
No.
Facebook user, I think it's Stefan Portera. I don't know how to say his last name. Porterella. He said, yes, I did get a fly river turtle, and that's about as aquatic as it gets for turtles. And that will be my only fly river turtle for the rest of my life. Maybe I say that now,
that's
but
ultra aquatic.
Yes,
it's pretty
I
aquatic,
truly enjoy that fly river turtle, and it goes well. I got all these tortoises, and when I want to look at something aquatic, I go out into my kitchen where this big, huge tank with this beautiful fly river turtle fin, throw them in apple slice, and I'm entertained for the day. So yeah, that's
awesome. His name is Finn.
Finn, yes, his name is Finn, and
such a cute name.
We're finally getting close to hand feeding him, so I can't wait to get some videos of that. So Finn is a good one. For this show, for the podcast, we're gonna try to keep the flow going a little bit longer. We're gonna try to keep it at an hour, but if it pushes past, more brownie points for everybody else. So another question I have for you guys: in what ways can a veteran keeper and younger keepers make a greater impact together? In what ways do you think that they can do that together? And we'll start.
I would think just having open dialogue. I'm going to cut Anthony off and go. I think open dialogue is amazing. I think maybe the old geezer like me needs to be sensitive to the younger person's goals and let them kind of figure some stuff out on their own. No one really wants to have a dictator. No one really wants someone to get in their business. That happened for me personally with people, I refer to them as life coaches, self-appointed life coaches that I really didn't need. And their message just falls on deaf ears after some point. So I think it's important to have open dialogue and work together and find people in this hobby that you click with. And I think when we work on projects, we always try and do smaller groups. Anthony and I have worked on some different projects, and we try and keep it a small core group. And just follow your gut. I think listen to each other. I mean, I've learned stuff from you. Your passion, your interests, the questions you ask provoke enough thought for me that I actually learn, with you. So I think just open and finding your people. Yes. There's a lot of people out there.
Right. And what about you, Anthony?
Yeah, a couple of things that you said, Charlie, really resonated with me. I think that being interested rather than interesting, we try so hard to prove who we are and what we can do, and really people just want to feel heard, So if we can just be more understanding, empathetic, patient, I think everyone, is liable to benefit from that. And then just because you like something that I like, so just because I'm obsessed with, I don't know, some weird Asian turtle in my case, or for you, Dawson, some tortoise, or for you, Charlie, cherry heads, whatever it is. Just because somebody else is into that doesn't mean that you're going to be my best buddy either. I think
Sure.
I'm looking for people who are into doing things a certain way that really align with what I want. And it's more about that than anything else. Not necessarily just the species we keep. And that makes it fun because you can geek out about, there's turtle nerds that don't know much about Cyclemys atropons, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be my friend because I keep that species and they don't know about it. Like it's more about just people who get it and who want to try to create things. We're construction workers. I'm not trying to tear people down. I'm trying to build people up and trying to build things that can make this community better. And I'm not perfect, but I just always try. I'm always trying to create something in what little time I have left to do that. Like in terms of, after working 2 jobs and kids and a household and all that stuff that, normal adulting.
I agree. And if I have some advice from myself to the younger keepers with me in the community, because I would say reach out to the guys that you want to get knowledge from. Don't be afraid to reach out and connect and network. Don't go asking for free stuff, but reach out, get knowledge, learn about what you're trying to learn to listen and actually take what they tell you and to use it instead of just messaging them and bothering them just to get their attention. Message them to learn something and get something out of the talks you have between each other. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there to taking little bites out of everybody's knowledge. Just because a keeper a season keeper does one thing one way and a season keeper does one thing another way, doesn't mean you have to choose a side. Take information you've been given from both of them and kind of create your own little education or wealth of knowledge. There's so many people out there that do things differently and they have super strong opinions, and don't let those strong opinions really affect how you choose your career path or choose what you want to do with the things you've been taught and given. So that's something I'm big on right now. It's just,
I'd like to touch on that. I don't think anyone feels really great when you open a message and people are just asking for free animals. Or, we all have a pretty good BS meter, and I can see through that really fast. Who's really in it for the long haul, who's authentic, who's actually current and present in a conversation, and who's just, BSing you to, you just wait for it. Okay, wait. Okay, yeah. Can I have some spotted turtles? I knew it was coming. Thank you. Thanks for not wasting any more of my time, because now I know, where you are. But but with that said, I learn a lot from the younger guys too, because, you guys know more stuff about technology. Anthony and I are working, and having conversations with people a little bit on the side. And I learned so much from those guys too, just different projects, different ideas. I like thought-provoking conversation, and just we're not dumb, so don't be disrespectful and just ask for free stuff.
Yes.
Can I share a thought on that too, Dawson? What you said really resonated with me, and now Charlie. I want to use an example, and I'm going to call out Wes. Wes and I were talking today via Messenger, and I love talking to Wes. I talked to Wes before, and this is the benefit of meeting in person. So I know we just saw a comment come up about that, and obviously we were talking about the TTPG conference before. Being able to meet with people is so important. And I remember talking to Wes, and then when I met him at TTPG, and then was talking to other people about him, because that matters. Us old hens get together and we start chatting about who's who, and especially the younger group, like, oh, did you? And one person say, did you meet Wes? He is such a nice guy. Oh, I met Wes. Oh, he's the best. And so his stock definitely rose at TTPG, right? Dawson, your stock rose at TTPG. Years ago, my stock rose at TTPG. The first time you went, Charlie, in 2018, your stock rose. So I think get out there and meet people, but also I'll just say, don't take it personally, because I'm not saying this as like, oh, I'm so cool type thing. I get a lot of messages and I love them most of the time. Sometimes I feel really bad when I can't get back to some of them, and sometimes they just fall through the cracks. And I'm the first person to feel real bad and we always use Russ as the example. And I know Michael always gives Russ a hard time, but like, I really love Russ and like idolize him, and I get giddy when I see him send me a message. And there's a lot of times where I send him an email or a message, or we're trying to get together or whatever, and it doesn't happen because we're both busy, and Russ can be hard to nail down. We know that. And there's been times where I've been like, oh man, Russ hates me, but he doesn't hate me. He's just busy. And I do the same. And it's funny because I do the same thing to other people sometimes. I don't mean to. So don't ever take it personally. And the reason why I brought Wes up, he was asking me about some turtles, and he was asking because he wanted to find some or buy some from somebody or whatever. And I was like, yeah, if I hatch them this year, I'd love to send you some. But that's not me just saying, oh, I'm the best. I send turtles out. It's because it's Wes. It's because of what Wes has done. He's proven to me that he deserves a shot with something, and I would like to partner with him and collaborate with him. So he's been patient, and he's been kind, and he's been respectful, and very respectful. And I don't know. I just think that goes a long way for us old guys. And also just, like I said, be patient, because it may not have happened that way. I may have just been busy again. And then he could have given up today if I was busy today, and then gone to someone else and be, I really thought I liked Anthony, but now he's a real jerk,
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And
I'm going to just add on that I'm also bad. Messages fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
I happened to post maybe a couple weeks ago surplus spotted turtles, just because I looked at my pond and couldn't believe how many juveniles and sub-adults that I saw out basking. And I thought, all right, I'll find some nice homes for these. It's not really about the money. And I got overwhelmed with messages, and I literally just cannot keep up with it. And it's not disrespectful. It's not intentionally. It's like, I'll get to that next week or next month or next year. But a lot of people I don't always respond to. Just, it's a time thing, not a respect thing.
It's tough. This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And handling a bunch of messages when like you don't need the couple extra bucks. You don't do it for that if you sell them at all. So yeah, it ends up being a burden too. And I think it's tough to understand because there was a time where I would have, like I said, all I wanted was for somebody to take me seriously, give me the time of day, answer an email. And sometimes people did, but most of the time they didn't. And I would just sit there and be like, gosh, I wish anyone wanted to talk to me. And now people send messages and I can't keep up with them all because I'm a lot busier. It's just, life changes over the years and situations are different at different times and everything. The passion shifts.
Yes, 100%. And like you're talking about people trusting you through TTPG. I met a really good friend of mine. He goes by the name of Python. But me and him have connected and talked, and he's taught me so much just behind the scenes. He doesn't do any social media or anything at all, but this man honestly means the world to me. He's done so much for me just behind the scenes, and he doesn't care about the credit. He doesn't care about anything, just solely cares about what we're doing together. And he's a great man. And if someday when he's ready, I'd like to show the world this guy, and he will never be forgotten. Nobody will ever forget this man's name as long as I live. But I want to answer Cameron Lamb's question for you two. We'll start off with Charlie. What are some of your goals for the MOORCROFT Foundation?
It's interesting. It's constantly growing and evolving. I thought originally our goal was to try to have people visit this place and experience what I get to experience every day. And that's proven to be less realistic. We've raised a pretty decent amount of money, and we've tried to spread it all over different species of animals, different areas of the world. That's been fun. I think lately I'd like to figure out some experience-based opportunities, education-based. I really like networking with people and traveling, and I've met so many amazing people through either the foundation or just by having this collection, or as Anthony said, getting on an airplane and going to TTPG way back in 2018 before there wasn't a foundation back then. I was just some dumb guy who went out there to hang out with some friends. And, that actually changed me. And then the foundation happened because I was involved in the governance of our sport with horses and different foundations. And that changed drastically. And so I tried to kind of recreate that idea of raising money and funding organizations at that point. And again, that's been great. It's been very satisfying. It's a little frustrating at times. Everyone needs money. But jumping ahead to the future, I'd like to continue on with that. I wish I was honestly better at social media and YouTube, because I think there's a chance there to do better than I can. But getting back to experience, Anthony and I have bounced ideas around for years, really. And, there's chances to maybe put groups together to go to Madagascar, maybe partner with TTPG members and do some interesting facility tours down in Florida. That's very interesting to me. I think if we're smart and we do it through the umbrella of the foundation and with the membership of the TTPG, we could have access to some really cool places that maybe you guys wouldn't have without, a true collaboration. So I'd like to look at that in the future. Galapagos, I'd like to get to the point where people could apply for some grants. I talked to Michael Skipstead about that. He's become a really good friend. He's going to work on a project for grant writing. I think that will also help with fundraising. People think that the money we raise comes in here to kind of offset the cost of my collection, and I don't know how else to explain it, but that's actually not true. And that I've said it 6 million different ways. But really, we all need money, and we all need to support, and we all need to do what makes us feel good. And for me, raising money and giving that money away feels amazing. I also think, last thing, I've given away a lot of animals. Greg Brashear has been the recipient of a lot of rescues that I try to take in. I'm not a rescue for sure, and I don't take a lot of injured animals or real rescues, but people always assume you're going to help them. So I've I've filled Greg's yard with a lot of stuff whenever I can. So I appreciate him and Anthony for saying yes. And again,
Shout out
that's
to those
free.
two,
You know,
right?
I just pay the shipping. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers it, but I'd like to really keep going with it and expand it.
I think it's a good foundation, and I highly encourage everybody in our viewers to go check out the MOORCROFT Foundation on Instagram and
I'll
give
say
them a
one
follow.
other thing. I know I talk too much, but we support a wolf organization over in Naples called Shy Wolf. And yesterday I brought this guy Blake from Blake's Exotic Animals over there, and he filmed it. And you know, a lot of that could be somewhat controversial, but the reality is to get someone like that who's interested enough to get in the car and drive over there with you and film it and kind of help bring awareness to what their mission is, I think is a win-win.
That's a win.
And you know, he was he's a cool kid. So he and I become friends, and my friend Lewis, he's like the old I'm editing. He's a really old super guy. He's not even old, but he's a great guy. He knows everyone here. He's like the godfather, I'll say, of collections in South Florida. And if you want somewhere, you call Lewis. So he went with us. So it's kind of fun.
Nice.
It's cool.
Anthony.
I should jump in now. You said something I can echo too. You know, it's difficult when you are. I mean, you are the leader of the MOORCROFT Foundation, of course, and I'm probably the more public face of some of what the Turtle Room does. I'd say, and just because of the podcast and because I like to plaster my face places and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think we both share in that struggle of, you know, we look like organizations that collect turtles when really we're people that collect turtles who are attached to organizations that do other things. So no money that goes to the Turtle Room goes to captive animals. Now that's something we've tried to figure out in the past, but without having a location, it just can't happen. So we've never given a red cent to any captive keeping situations. So a lot of people don't realize that. So I think in terms of the future of the Turtle and what we need to do, I am personally very proud of what we do right now. It's just that people don't know it. So what we need to do in the future is to spread the message differently. And then the other piece too is, you know, after Chris Leone got busy with, you know, everything that he's doing, which is wonderful. We wish him the best, and I'm very happy about all of the, you know, publicity he's getting on YouTube and things like that, which is wonderful. We always knew that he had those skills and could absolutely crush it if he dedicated himself to it. And now we're seeing the amazing content that he's putting out. Is when he left, that left a void for captive husbandry. So I was overseeing educational efforts. Now we have someone who's an actual teacher with a master's degree who's running our education department. And I moved over to oversee husbandry, which makes sense. It fits better with who I am. And now we're just trying to reinvent what that looks like. Again, it's not money towards animals in captivity, at least certainly not at this point. So we're looking at just kind of creating, I don't want to tip our hand right now because we're just starting to talk about these things, but we want to create unifying opportunities for people to get involved at a level that is not currently available. I'll just leave it at that. So I'm not trying to get everybody excited, but what
does that even mean?
It's a politician type answer because I'm not telling you what the idea is because I don't want people to know the idea that we're working on so that they can go and make it their idea, because it's not at that point yet. You get to a certain point where things are shareable and they should be shared.
A teaser.
Yeah, it's a teaser. Like I think that a lot of people who are tuning into this right now want to be involved. They want what they're doing to be conservation. They want what they're doing to be as important as possible. And there's different ways to do that. Money is one of them. And some of us just don't really care about the money and don't do it for the money. So for those of us that are looking for more and aren't interested in finding the next thing that's going to get them money, maybe there's an opportunity to collaborate more. And again, the other thing too is to do these things without stepping on the toes of the TTBG, which is an absolutely amazing organization, which I'm a lifetime member. And if you're not, I recommend you doing it. So anything that's done is meant to be in collaboration with, not in lieu of. the TTPG
100%.
on the husbandry side. But again, the husbandry piece for the turtle room is such a small piece of what we do. We would like to continue to grow the in situ, in the wild conservation stuff and the educational stuff, which is really the backbone of who we are. It's just that we don't get the word out there well enough. And I make posts on social media, but not often. I just made a couple for the upcoming podcast.
I'll give you an example of a conversation Anthony and I would have. And hi, Julie, by the way. I would say, Anthony, what if our foundation and the Turtle Room got together and sent people over to Okinawa, Japan, and did a experience-based opportunity to go look at Ryukin black-breasted leaf turtles, japonica. What about fundraising, buy some land somewhere out there and put our heads together? So those are the type of things that we've unofficially talked about, which would be amazing dreams. There's the TSA, there's the TTPG, so we're a little bit aware of which organization kind of, has which bucket with different items in it. So but we have a lot of really good conversations about the future and about making bigger changes. So that's one thing I would share. I'd love to make a real big difference out there in the wild, in nature, and in addition to captive collection.
Yeah, I agree, and it wouldn't be possible without donations. So if you guys have any extra spare change, donate it. I love donating. It makes me feel good. It helps. Goes to a good place. These three foundations: TTPG, the Turtle Room, MOORCROFT Foundation. Great places to donate. It's a tax write-off. Don't be afraid to send your money to a good place. It's and I encourage younger keepers too. I know some of you guys, if you're not struggling in life, be graceful, give a little. There's nothing wrong with that. And with that, I think that's all we got for tonight. Is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up, talk about, or let the people know?
I'd just like to say thank you. Seriously, I wasn't really on my game tonight and had some technical issues. It's a crazy time of year for me, but I wanted to put everything I could to the side and do my best to just be part of it and support you in this journey. And I look forward to it. So
I appreciate
keep
that
going
very
and
much.
thank you.
I want to thank you guys for being on the show, coming on the show. It really means a lot that I can have some very special guests to start this journey off. This is a huge moment in my life where I'm starting something new. We don't know how far this can go. We don't know who we can connect with and where we could take something just like this. There's 10 podcasts out there, right? But this one's mine and this one's ours. And this is where we can all connect. And there's no strong opinions. There's no one going to bash on here. It's all about just talking turtles. And you got the smartest guys and you got the guys who are just coming into the hobby. And I think that's what makes this great, and being able to connect with people like you and connect with younger guys. And we'll see on next week or whenever we have our next podcast, how things are going to change and how we're going to evolve and grow. There'll be bad times and good times. So I'm appreciative. Everybody that tuned in, I'm super grateful that you guys came and watched, because this podcast would not have even been a thing if we had 0 watchers. It'd be nothing. It'd just be us 3 talking. We could do that through Facebook. So being able to share this conversation with all of you guys means a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to the future with everybody. So thank you.
Can I share one more thing, Dawson? I'm so sorry. This is
No,
totally something I would do, right? And when you're trying to end it, obviously, I just have to say this. There is always room. And talking just about podcasts, we had Emma Locke on our show, maybe, I don't even know, 6 years ago now. And she said, she's a big YouTube personality. And she said, the algorithm loves competition. And she didn't call it competition, but the algorithm loves more of the same thing, because if there's more turtle podcasts, or if there's more turtle books, or if there's more turtle anything, then that makes it better for all of us who create turtle things. So, you may think Greg and Chris and Kenan are competitors, but it's actually good for them all to be creating similar content, because people get on and they watch video after video, and it bounces between the similar videos. So it helps the algorithm and gets us all more views. So, and it's not even from that point. I said to Bob at TTPG that his book meant so much to me because I've had friends who are not really into it anymore, or friends who maybe passed away or that sort of thing. Like, to have his memoir like that in that book is something that is a treasure for all of us to benefit from in this world. So, and there, Tony Monahan gives a thumbs up. Yes, Tony, your book, like, oh my gosh, how amazing is that resource going to be for not only all of us, but for the kid who decides they're into turtles like we did decades ago. So, like, if you're somebody who's thinking about starting a podcast, or if you're somebody who's thinking of writing an article, or if you're like, don't be discouraged by the fact that it already exists or somebody's already got whatever, because stuff happens and things morph and everything works out as it should. But don't ever let yourself talk yourself out of things that you could benefit from, and that our community can benefit from. So this is wonderful, Dawson. I'm so proud to know you, and so proud to have been on your first episode. And I can't wait to see what you accomplish. And thank you for showing, all the other new people that, this is how it's done. Go out and find your way.
Those guys paved the path for young guys like me. All of them inspired me. Even if there's any controversy around any of them, they've all inspired and gave me a path and outlook on what I'm capable of doing, and how far I can take it, and what level can I take it to. So any and all inspiration comes from people like you guys. So thank you guys. Thanks for tuning into Turtle Talk Tuesday. Peace out.
Thanks, guys.